Eastside State High School. Student voice matters. Eastside State High School has an enrollment of 1,600 students and is facing a crisis of well-being, where only 65% of students indicate they feel safe at school, compared with 95% in 2015. This is a staggering statistic. And along with the decreased confidence students have to speak to teachers about their concerns, which has declined from 82% in 2015 to 64% in 2019, is a worrying problem for school leaders. Most crucially, however, the belief that the school takes their opinions seriously has also declined for students to 66% in 2019. Does it really matter if, conservatively, some 500 students have little or no voice or opinion? Don't school leaders know what they need? The Student Opinion Survey over the last 5 years provides a valuable starting point for our chosen wellbeing initiative, Student Voices Matter. Why does student voice matter? In 2002, child delegates addressed the General Assembly of the United Nations for the first time. The notion of the new sociology of childhood, where children are seen as social actors with a valued understanding of the world, was further proposed by Fattori, Mason and Watson in 2008, among others. In terms of student well-being, in 2013, Coombs et al. Reported that young people's definitions of well-being often ran counter to the opinions of adults. More recently, the work of Powell, Graham et al. In 2018 has shown that student voice is crucial in conceptualizing well-being. The centrality of student voice to a student well-being model is clearly demonstrated in the Australian Student Wellbeing Framework. Here, student voice is represented as one of 5 crucial petals of the wellbeing flower. Interestingly, the Queensland Government also uses a graphic with horticultural overtones with a number of open petals. However, student voice is not once mentioned, either in the petal graphic or in the accompanying documents, an omission which is reflected in Eastside's own student wellbeing framework. Could there be a link to the aforementioned decreased confidence in expressing opinion, declining ability to ask teachers for help, or a right for students to feel safe at school? Certainly, a well-being framework imposed from above, in which students have no say, is disempowering. Eastside has an indicator of socio-educational advantage, ICSEA, of 981, a figure which has been declining, indicating greater social disadvantage for Eastside students. For them, genuine opportunities for student voice are particularly crucial, according to Quinn and Owen, 2016. The process of change is never easy, and while there are many elements of Eastside's current framework which are valid and worthwhile, the Queensland Government's inquiry cycle should be used to develop and action a revised framework, providing active and authentic student participation in the inquiry. After all, what further irony could there possibly be than redesigning a well-being framework to promote student voice without consulting the students? Step 1. Scan and assess. The most obvious starting point for our inquiry is Eastside and me the school's weekly well-being program. In the 5 years since its inception, can we be sure the intended outcomes are being achieved? Creating a positive school ecology requires evaluation over time, and much can be learned by understanding the attitudes and behaviours of what Price and McCallum call the most happy students. Here then is the first opportunity. Focusing on one year level and starting with the most willing or happy students and teachers, we need to scan and assess Eastside and Me Year 9 program. With this inquiry in mind, simple surveys have already been distributed via SurveyMonkey in July 2020 to 284 Year 9 students, with 148 responses being received. These interested students, then, can form the starting point for an evaluation of Year 9, Eastside and Me. Identified students and staff should then complete a logic model to evaluate the Year 9 Eastside and Me program. This activity can take time, but it's absolutely crucial to identify specific areas to prioritize for change. Questions must be asked regarding needs, resources, activities, and whether these match the intended outcomes. It is also worth considering change over time. A program that was successful in meeting student needs in 2015 may not readily address those needs in 2020. Step 2. Prioritize. In completing the logic model, there will need to be reordering of the cause and effect chain to ensure that resources and activities from the Eastside and Me program lead to desired outcomes, and in particular, provide consistent and ongoing opportunities for students to give their opinions or provide feedback. In a school setting, small focus groups are an effective way of collecting data from students about their well-being in an informal discussion. Dividing students and teachers who have volunteered to be part of the inquiry into small groups and using a friendly setting, not the principal's office, is key to choose a specific area to prioritize. Step 3. Develop and plan. Using focus group results and identifying priorities from Step 2, a plan needs to be developed to create opportunities both within and without the program to develop student voice. For example, the capacity to identify risk and protective factors is crucial for targeted intervention. And Term 4's topic of alcohol use in society provides golden opportunity to gain important information before Term 4's topic is presented in a top-down fashion. Planning a student action committee comprised of interested students and teacher advocates has a ready starting point at Eastside, with 23 of those students already members of the Student Council. However, it must be remembered, the current Student Council completes fun projects and initiatives, but has little voice or opinion in the school. And it is imperative then that this Student Action Committee has a separate agenda. Step 4. Act. This agenda involves both immediate and longer-term goals to ensure student voice is not only heard from Year 9 students on this occasion, but that it is incorporated as a central component of both Eastside and Me in all year levels, as well as the wellbeing framework as a whole. In the immediate, Year 9 students should be surveyed regarding the Term 4 topic to provide important feedback before staff teach the topic. Teachers should also be interviewed regarding the topic beforehand. Journal writing or online blogs can provide valuable insight into student perception of well-being, a key factor in promoting student well-being. Classroom observations will also provide important feedback on student participation and an opportunity for disengaged students to give their opinion. Finally, it's imperative that there are longer-term goals to incorporate student voice, including opportunities for written and verbal feedback at the conclusion of each unit, and organisation of interviews with students to ascertain what has been valuable and what did not work. This then leads to step 5, review, which is a key component of reflective practice and a vital aspect to embedding student voice into the Eastside and Me programme. This part of the cycle very much depends on school leaders' willingness to reflect and learn, not just considering what students and teachers have said, but being willing to examine why, to look at the assumptions that sit behind what we do, as in the double loop learning model. Only in this way will meaningful adjustments be made in the review process to the Wellbeing Programme. In terms of barriers to implementation, these are many and diverse, but I have chosen to focus on 4 main ones. Firstly, well-being policy imposed from above tends not only to be ad hoc, but to lack smooth integration into overall school culture and priorities, with teachers and students viewing it as just another discrete, mandated priority. In addition, there's the problem of inaccurate measurement. Education Queensland has listed attendance and lack of suspensions, SDAs, as proof of increased well-being. These are most decidedly not the most accurate measures of student well-being, and it will require a real shift in thinking for schools to consider student voice as part of effectively measuring the success of student well-being. Attendance and SDA data is much more readily available, but student voice cannot be left out. These types of objective measurement naturally fit with a deficit model which is reactive, which runs counter to the positive school ecology promoted by McCallum and Price and so many others. In addition, they are far less time-consuming, and time is one of the biggest barriers to any change. The biggest barrier will be the paradigm shift required in the thinking of school leaders to accept, participate, and promote such changes. In this climate, then, it's a significant challenge to ensure that student voices really do matter. It would be relatively easy to gain tokenistic involvement, but for authentic student voice to be part of the Wellbeing Programme at Eastside, there needs to be significant cultural change, and such change can only occur from the top. In the end, it would be easy to be daunted by such a challenge. But as a school leader myself, who will lead this change if not me? Who will encourage Year 9 students to speak their opinion, if not the deputy principal with sole charge of Year 9? We have school leaders who are authoritarian, expecting compliance, demanding the weekly programme be delivered. We have other leaders who are uninvolved, leaving staff to their own devices, making little impact on school culture. Equally, there are leaders who are too permissive, with standards and expectations too low, who would agree maybe that students should have more voice, but not take the lead in ensuring this happens. Going forward, I am determined to have a proactive and visionary approach and be the kind of authoritative leader described by Dinham 2016. As he says, if you wait for everyone to get on board the bus, it will never leave. It is time to move forward, to empower students to speak up, to provide opportunities for greater participation, to respect students as social actors with agency and autonomy. Starting with Year 9, I will lead an authentic, participatory approach to well-being, where student voice really matters. Thank you.